Welcome back to Antics at the Armory. We're here today for another Dominaria spoiler video. So we're going to take a look at what has been spoiled as of today, April 4th. The first cards we have to show are the new cycle of uncommon lands, a Memorial to Unity, Memorial to War, Memorial to Folly, Memorial to Genius, and Memorial to Glory. All 5 of them come in tapped, and they all add colored mana, which is really good. Memorial to Unity adds 1 green. You can tap 2 generic, 1 green, tap, sacrifice Memorial to Unity. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Memorial to War taps for 1 red mana. Tap 4 generic, 1 red, tap and sacrifice it to destroy target land. Memorial to Folly taps for black mana. 2 generic, 1 black, tap and sack it. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Memorial to Genius taps for blue mana. 4 generic, 1 blue, tap and sack it. Draw 2 cards. Memorial to Glory taps for white mana. 3 generic, 1 white, tap, sacrifice it. Create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. So they all seem pretty decent. They might see their way into some commander builds, especially budget commander. The fact that they tap for colored mana really helps them out. They do come in tapped, which kind of hurts them a little bit, but the abilities are okay. If you're running a commander token strategy, then the Memorial to Glory seems pretty decent. It will give you a couple creatures late game when you don't need the extra mana. Same thing with the card draw on Memorial to Genius. Memorial to Folly, bouncing something back to your hand. Not the most powerful ability to lose a land with, but it's good. Destroying a target land, not too bad. I think the best one is Memorial to Unity. Green really needs that card draw, card filtering, and this is going to help it out a lot. I can see them being played in commander budget builds. I can also see them being played in standard budget decks or mono decks. So a Memorial to War in a mono red deck, having it enter tapped, as long as it's not super aggressive, really isn't going to hurt it a lot. But that destroy target land, especially with all the flip cards that turn into very powerful lands, could be really good. Drawing 2 cards late game when you already have a lot of mana in a control deck is really good. The tokens can help you go wide in any type of like white aggressive strategy. Also can give you chump blockers if you need them. And Memorial to Folly to bring back the most powerful creature that's been destroyed, that's just sitting in your graveyard doing nothing. It's a good way to use a land that you're not otherwise using. So all in all, a pretty good set. I'm glad to see them in here. Next we have Slyn Voda, the Rising Deep. 6 generic and 2 blue for a legendary creature Leviathan at uncommon. It is an 8/8. Kicker, 1 generic, 1 blue. When Slyn Voda, the Rising Deep, enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return all creatures to their owner's hands except for merfolk, krakens, leviathans, octopus, and serpents. Really good card. The 10 mana is a bit steep, but I don't think it's going to hinder it a whole lot if you're building around it. In a control deck, this could be a very good finisher. 10 mana is really steep though. I don't see this being very popular in standard. It's going to be okay in commander. Typically you have a lot of mana that you can do this effect with. You could build a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus deck, and that would be pretty decent. All in all, I think it's a pretty fun card. Next, we have Grun, the Lonely King. 4 generic, 2 green. Legendary creature Ape Warrior at uncommon. He is a 5/5 with kicker, 3 generic. If Grun the Lonely King was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 5 1/1 counters on it. Whenever Grun attacks alone, double its power and toughness until end of turn. So this is essentially a 5/5 for 6. Already really good stats in limited. Okay stats in standard. But it becomes a 10/10 for 9 if you kick it, which is really good. And then you throw on the second ability, so if you don't kick it, whenever it attacks, it becomes a 10-10. And if you do kick it, whenever it attacks, it becomes a 20-20. For limited, that is going to be an all-star. I would put as many of these into a green ramp deck as I could possibly get. If your opponent doesn't have a lot of removal, it's going to get through and it's going to close out the game extremely fast for you. And it's a really good mana sink late game. It could see some standard play in an aggressive ramp deck, maybe. It's not terrible for standard. For commander, I could see it as one of the 99. I don't think many people are going to build decks around it. It doesn't have enough evasion, doesn't have trample, hexproof, anything like that. So it's very easy to remove in commander. But it could be a part of the 99. It's a serious threat if it hits and sticks. I don't see modern play for this though. Next we have Two-Headed Giant. For 2 generic, 2 red. It is a creature giant warrior at rare, and it's a 4/4. Whenever Two-Headed Giant attacks, flip 2 coins. If both coins come up heads, Two-Headed Giant gains double strike until end of turn. If both coins come up tails, Two-Headed Giant gains menace until end of turn. This is a very funny card. It seems deceptively good, but it relies on a lot of luck. So I thought Wizards was trying to go away from the whole coin flipping thing, but it seems like they're giving a nod to their origins here with this. It's pretty good. And the flavor of it is really good. Like, if both heads agree, then they get more powerful. But if they don't agree, then they don't. Like, that's just very flavorful. I like this. It's going to be really good and limited. A 4/4 for 4 is already decent stats. I don't foresee this being too impactful in standard. Modern, no. Commander, it might be a fun card in a coin flip deck in Commander. Maybe a Rel Zarok deck with this. I could see it. I could see it being fun in the 99. Our next card is Baird, Steward of Argive. For 2 generic, 2 white. It's a legendary creature, human soldier at uncommon. It is a 2/4 with vigilance. Creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless their controller pays 1 generic for each of those creatures. So this is just instantly put into any Pillow Fort deck. The fact that it's a legendary creature hurts it in formats like Modern and Standard, although it'll still be useful in those formats if it's put into a Pillow Fort deck. But where this is really going to shine is in Commander. So this is going to go into the Hannah Ship's Navigator decks, as well as the Zedru the Great Hearted, as long as those decks are built to keep people away. So I think it's going to be a nice addition to the decks. I don't foresee it being played in any older formats, Legacy, Vintage, anything like that. Standard, I could see it being played if there is a decent control shelf that it slots into, or maybe even a White Weenies deck. It could go into there. We'll have to just see, though. Next, we have Oath of Tefari. 3 generic, 1 white, 1 blue for a legendary enchantment at rare. When Oath of Tefari enters the battlefield, exile another target permanent you control. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. You may activate the loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control twice each turn rather than only once. So this takes a lot of dissecting. It is very powerful in my opinion. The fact that it costs 5 mana holds it back a little bit. But in the right shell, this is going to be amazing. Super Friend decks in Commander are going to want this all day long. As long as it's in the right colors, they're going to be playing this. One good deck that I could see for this in Commander would be Atraxa Super Friends. This is the type of ability that it really wants, especially with doubling season and things like that. This is going to be very powerful. But I'm excited to brew with this for an Esper Control Super Friends deck in Modern. It seems on the surface a little clunky, But if you think about, your possible turns, turn 3 you could have Liliana of the Veil, turn 4 Jace the Mind Sculptor, turn 5 this, and now you're doubling your counters every turn. So you could double Fate Seal. You, depending on what the loyalty is on Liliana, you could have them sack 2 creatures. It very well might kill her, but you could do that. Have them discard 2 cards. There's a lot of versatility with this card, and you don't necessarily have to play it on turn 5. This can still be very relevant turn 6, 7, 8, 9. And as long as you have planeswalkers on the battlefield, this is always going to have relevance immediately. So I think that this is really good, and I'm interested to brew with it as maybe a 2 of in an Esper shell. Standard play, if planeswalkers become very prominent, then this could see a lot of play as well. So I think that it has merits in a lot of different formats. Our next card is Helm of the Host. It costs 4 generic for legendary artifact equipment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature, except the token isn't legendary if equipped creature is legendary. That token gains haste. So instantly my first thought for this card is in kind of a Oops All Gideon shell. Turn Gideon into a creature, equip this, get another Gideon, swing in, do whatever you need to do, and just keep cycling it every turn. You put this on Gideon of the Trials, drop Gideon of the Trials turn 3, this turn 4, equip turn 5, turn him into a creature, swing, get another one, and just every turn you're getting another Gideon of the Trials. You get up to 5, 6, 7 of those, and your opponent really doesn't have much hope of defeating you at that point. With the emblem and the fact that they can't beat you if you have a Gideon, I think that it could be very powerful. It's gonna see commander play, I think. I I would love to play this in a Riku deck. Just get 2 Rikus and double copy all of the spells and all of the creatures, and I think it will just get insane and be a ton of fun. Next, we have a reprint, Gilded Lotus. It is 5 generic mana for an artifact at rare. Tap, add 3 mana of any one color. So this is a very relevant reprint. It is seen a lot in Commander. I think the price tag is up to like $15 or something now. It's played in every Commander deck that wants to ramp, so pretty much every Commander deck that can play it. It's definitely wanted by most Commander players. In Standard, if you're ramping out hard, this is really good. It combos nicely with Paradox Engine, so that helps it out a lot. It doesn't see a whole lot of Modern play, so I don't foresee it seeing Modern play anymore. But if Brawl does take off, then it's nice to have this kind of card in there. And I almost want to say they reprinted it just to promote Brawl a little bit, because it's going to need the mana rocks, and they're promoting it as kind of a smaller Standard only Commander. So if it's going to be like Commander, they're going to need some of the staples there. So I think all in all, it's a pretty good reprint. The next 3 cards I'm actually not going to go into. They are Sage of Lot Nam, Gitu Chronicler, and Divest. All 3 of them were spoiled by Strictly Better MTG. Another YouTuber on here. He's absolutely amazing. I love Dev's work. So I'm just going to put the link in the description so that you guys can go check it out and enjoy his videos just as much as I do. Along those same lines, the last spoiler for the day is Tolarian Scholar. I'm not going to go into this one because it was the spoiler for the professor at the Tolarian Community College. So the link to that video is going to be in the description as well. And it is a great watch. You should definitely check it out. And there's a reason why he's the top Magic YouTuber there is. So I would recommend checking it out. That is everything for April 4th. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, share, subscribe, hit that little bell for notifications, and leave us a comment. This is Colin from Antics at the Armory. Have a good day.